President Trump has told us for years that the 2020 election was rigged, but if we ever mentioned it, we were immediately silenced. But now we are seeing the beginning of this storyline starting to take shape. Of course, it hasn't been getting coverage on the mainstream news, so I'm here to tell you all about it. Those of you who have had a hard time believing that your vote can be stolen no longer need to wonder, because in Texas, there's indictments. This isn't fiction, it's real indictments in an organized scheme, and we're going to break down the beginnings of election fraud disclosure. At least 20 years ago, I ran across a video which exposed votes being changed through a computer in real time. That's right, I sat there and it was explained how tens of thousands of votes could instantaneously be switched in any voting district that was plugged into this computer. At the time, a name was never brought up, but 2 decades later, we first heard about Dominion voting software. People called us crazy. They treated us like some sort of insurrectionist if we dare question the integrity of the voting system in the United States. But now we are being vindicated. Whether the Dominion voting machines will ever be revealed as being involved in election fraud or not, we don't yet know. But what we do know is that people are now being indicted for tampering election results, and it wasn't the Russians. In May 2025, a grand jury in Frio County, Texas, dropped the hammer on 6 people, including judges and council members, for running a mail-in ballot scheme targeting elderly voters. It started back in 2022, when suspicious election patterns caught the district attorney's eye. Fast forward to 2024, search warrants, seized evidence, and a tangled web of officials allegedly collecting ballots, coercing votes, and leaking confidential data. It's important to understand that Dominion hacking irregularities is only one concern that we should have about election tampering. There are many ways to rig an election. Votes can be tampered with in numerous ways, including voter suppression, which is what the left has squawked about. The only problem is the suppression they were talking about was people that had no right to vote. They've been trying to twist our minds that requiring IDs to vote is suppression. I mean, really. If you can't speak English, and the argument that low-income individuals aren't smart enough to get an ID to vote is downright insulting to Americans. But there are numerous legitimate ways to alter an election. One is voter fraud, such as ballot stuffing, double voting, hacking databases, identity theft by using the identity of dead people to cast a mail-in ballot. Spreading false information to influence voters like the media has done forever is a type of voter fraud, and I hope that newscasters get prosecuted for their part. Then there's this manipulation of mail-in ballots, which we saw in videos of people at mail-in boxes submitting stacks of votes. There's gerrymandering, which is the practice of manipulating the boundaries of electoral districts to favor one party or class. Foreign interference can occur in numerous ways also, but money funding various factors is also interference, and we could see this revealed in the future. There could be cyber attacks and intimidation or coercion at polling places. Additionally, issues like long lines due to insufficient polling stations, misinformation about voting procedures, and legal challenges to results can undermine electoral integrity. In the 2024 election, there were numerous Republicans who reported that they were told to go to the wrong voting precinct or that they had already voted when they hadn't. I think every one of these tactics have been alleged at some point. So, as you can see, where there's a way, the evil ones have already done it. But there's been at least one organized scheme that has triggered indictments, and it's hitting the alternative news, so it appears we're revisiting the issue because there's more to come. In this one, everything from politicians to judges to trustees to election officials involved. So let's get into it, but first, please remember all the buttons. the thumbs up, the subscribe. We value your constructive comments and have memberships and super thanks tips if you'd like to help me with the channel expenses. Okay, let's look at the alleged thieves who tried to steal your vote if you live in Texas. But don't think for 1 minute that this is the only instance of such an organized effort to steal the election. And I suspect we are going to see other states following. So here's the trailblazer. Authorities in a South Texas county announced the indictment and arrest of several individuals, including public officials, for alleged election crimes involving a vote harvesting scheme, marking a significant step in efforts to safeguard electoral integrity. The case, which came to light after a multi-year investigation, highlights concerns about the manipulation of votes and the potential impact on local elections, prompting a broader examination of voting practices and the enforcement of election laws. Frio County, Texas's own Judge Rochelle Camacho, plus election officials and campaign workers, are all facing felony vote harvesting charges. The kicker? Some reportedly used Cash App to get paid for ballot collecting. Nothing like leaving a paper trail. This scheme is a violation of Texas Senate Bill 1, which makes paid ballot harvesting a felony. Each charge carries up to 10 years in prison, and these alleged criminals are soon going to learn what FAFO means. As mentioned, this had some people in pretty trusted positions, and I think it's important to expose how infiltrated our government is. So let's look at these people who should never be in such a position of trust and expose the heck out of them by sharing this video. Here we go. Rochelle Camacho was the top official in Frio County, Texas, which is about 100 miles north of the border. Camacho was a judge who paid others to rig an election in her favor, and now she's being charged with 3 counts of vote harvesting, which is a third-degree felony. Camacho was, of course, a Democratic county judge near the border and is accused of participating in a scheme to illegally collect mail-in ballots. She wasn't immediately arrested due to a medical issue, but was scheduled to be processed later. Each charge carries a potential penalty of 2 to 10 years in prison. Her bond has been set at $2,000 per count, which is nothing in my opinion. According to the allegations, Camacho hired a woman who had been collecting mail ballots for candidates in Frio County for nearly 3 decades. The judge paid her between $1,500 and $2,500 to gather mail-in ballots, applications for ballot by mail, and even drive people to vote curbside. Investigators claim that this scheme targeted elderly people at a Pearsall subdivision, where Camacho and her sister, Adrienne Ramirez, a Pearsall ISD trustee, allegedly participated in efforts to collect mail-in ballots in October 2022. And since we brought up Ramirez, the judge's sister, we'll look at her next. Adrienne Ramirez, who was a member of the Board of Trustees for the Pearsall Independent School District, ISD. She was responsible for overseeing the governance and policies of the public school system in Pearsall, Texas. So there are crooked school board members, and I hope she's scrutinized for her part in any DEI or transgender manipulation of children also. Ramirez has been charged with 3 counts of vote harvesting. She was arrested on May 2, 2025, and released on a $2,000 bond. Next, Ramiro Trevino, Pearsall City Council member, was charged with 1 count of vote harvesting, violating a 2021 Texas law, Senate Bill 1, that bans third-party ballot collection for compensation. She was arrested on May 2, 2025, and released on a $2,000 bond. Then there is Rachel Garza, another Pearsall City Council member charged with 1 count of vote harvesting. Garza, whose term was nearing its end in 2025, is also accused of involvement in the ballot collection scheme. Also arrested on May 2, 2025, and released on a $2,000 bond. But it gets better. The Frio County Elections Administrator Carlos Segura was even involved. It doesn't get much better than planting a shill to oversee election integrity. Poetic, isn't it? Carlos was charged with 1 count of tampering with or fabricating physical evidence. Segura allegedly leaked confidential ballot data, such as delivery dates and locations, to facilitate the vote harvesting operation. Court documents accuse him of providing this information to an individual charging $1,500 to $2,500 for vote harvesting services. The head of election integrity allegedly paid people to rig the election. Unreal, isn't it? He was arrested and released on $2,000 bond. Lastly is Rosa Rodriguez, who has made a name for herself as an alleged vote harvester. Charged with 2 counts of vote harvesting, Rodriguez was a campaign worker and is accused of collecting ballots, reportedly using Cash App to receive payments for these services, which violates Texas law. She was arrested and released on a $2,000 bond. Rosa was a seasoned vote harvester, but she wasn't the only one, so all those people who decided to influence elderly people by harvesting their vote, beware, because you could be next. It's important to realize that there are legitimate reasons for mail-in ballots, and it's my understanding that blockchain technology was used in the 2024 election, which tracks the movement of every ballot, so that should be quite a deterrent in the future. The vote harvesting scheme in Frio County, Texas, was primarily aimed at rigging the vote in favor of Rochelle Camacho in the March 2022 Democratic primary for county judge. This was a county judge, and a handful of crooked people is all it took. Now look at all the district judges that are overstepping their bounds and impeding President Trump from fixing this mess. Have they all been involved with similar schemes to assure that the deep state had someone in that position? I'd like to see who's paying the district judges. The message sent out from the Attorney General is, mess with voters, especially the elderly, and you'll be next. So, next time you mail in your ballot, remember, someone's always watching. This case has drawn significant attention due to its implications for electoral integrity and the involvement of local officials, and you can bet, like everything else that we're seeing, it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to election fraud.